I slammed the door so hard the cheap plaster in our cramped Brooklyn apartment cracked a little more, the sound echoing like a gunshot in my skull. "Fuck this day," I muttered, collapsing onto the sagging couch that smelled faintly of last night's takeout. Jeremy looked up from his laptop, his hazel eyes widening just a fraction, enough to make my chest tighten, before he set it aside and said, voice low and steady, "Keith, you look like hell. Sit. Let me work those knots out before you turn into a human pretzel." That was the moment everything shattered, or maybe it started mending. I couldn't tell yet. His hands, calloused from bartending shifts and those late-night sketches he hid in his drawer, pressed into my shoulders, and between one breath and the next, he whispered, "I've been in love with you for months, Keith, and I can't pretend anymore." The words hung there, heavier than the humid August air seeping through our fire escape window, pulling me under like the East River at high tide. It had been 6 months since Jeremy and I crashed into each other's lives, two broke-ass 20-somethings chasing dreams in the concrete jungle of New York. I was fresh out of a nowhere job at a midtown ad agency, copywriting slogans for energy drinks that tasted like battery acid, dreaming of scripting indie films that actually meant something. Jeremy, with his easy grin and that faded Yankees cap he wore backward even indoors, was slinging drinks at a dive bar in Williamsburg, saving every tip for art school tuition he swore he'd never afford. We met through a Craigslist ad. Roommate wanted. No drama, no pets, rent split 50-50. Must tolerate bad cooking. Mine, obviously. His response, a photo of a charred grilled cheese with the caption, "Challenge accepted." From day one, it was effortless, the kind of rhythm you don't question until it's gone. Mornings meant burnt coffee and him humming off-key to some indie playlist while I scrolled casting calls on my phone. Evenings were pizza boxes and arguments over the remote, me pushing for Scorsese classics, him voting for those feel-good rom-coms that always left me rolling my eyes. But there were glimpses, cracks in the facade. The way his laugh would catch when our knees brushed under the kitchen table, or how he'd linger a beat too long handing me a beer, fingers grazing mine like an accident that wasn't. I chalked it up to bro vibes, the unspoken code of guys against the world in a city that chewed you up and spat out the bones. New York does that to you, strips away the bullshit until you're raw, exposed under the neon glare. We'd wander the streets after his shifts, grease from street falafel lingering on our breaths, debating everything from gentrification ruining the Lower East Side to whether Springsteen was overrated. "Nah, man," he'd say, elbowing me as we dodged tourists on the Brooklyn Bridge. "The boss gets it, the ache of wanting something you can't have." His voice would drop then, eyes fixed on the Manhattan skyline like it held all the answers. I'd nod, pretending I got it, but deep down, I wondered what ghosts he was wrestling. Jeremy came from some upstate nowhere town, all flannel shirts and Friday night lights, where faggot was still a casual slur tossed around tailgates. He never talked family, just that one faded photo on his nightstand. Him at 16, arms slung around a brother who looked just like him, both grinning like they owned the world. Me? Chicago bred, South Side tough, but soft where it counted. Mom worked double shifts at the hospital, dad split when I was 10, classic American dream gone sideways. I came out at 17, messy and loud, over Thanksgiving turkey with relatives who prayed for my soul harder than they passed the mashed potatoes. It stuck, that fracture, love laced with lectures on sin and salvation. But New York? It was freedom, baby, a place where you could be whoever the hell you wanted, as long as you paid the rent. Or so I thought. That hook, the massage, came after the worst week of my life. The agency canned me Wednesday, some corporate restructure bullshit that left me staring at my severance check like it was fool's gold. Thursday, I bombed an audition for a web series. Director called my monologue wooden, which stung worse than the rejection email from my ex, Tyler, who'd ghosted me back in July with a text. "This city's too much. Peace." By Friday, my back was a war zone of knots, every muscle screaming from hauling boxes of my crap up 4 flights, because the super ghosted my maintenance request. I got home late, rain-slicked and defeated, and there was Jeremy, sprawled on the couch in his threadbare tee, sketching what looked like a skyline fractured by lightning. "You need this," he said, not asking, just standing and steering me to the bedroom like I was a stubborn mule. Our place was a shoebox, kitchen bleeding into the living room, bedrooms barely big enough for a twin and a desk, but it felt like sanctuary. I stripped to my waist, face down on the mattress that sagged in the middle from too many late-night crashes. His hands were magic, thumbs digging into the meat of my traps, unraveling tension I didn't know I'd bottled up. We talked shit at first, me griping about the director's man bun, him mocking the agency's vision board culture like it was a cult. Laughter bubbled up, easing the burn, until it didn't. His fingers stilled on my lower back, breath warm against my ear. Keith, there's something I gotta say. The air thickened, charged like the storm rumbling over the harbor. I twisted, propping on an elbow, and caught his face. Pale, jaw set, eyes stormy with something I'd seen in the mirror 100 times. Terror wrapped in resolve. What? I whispered, heart kicking like a bass drum. I've been lying to you. To myself. He sat back on his heels, hands fisting the sheets. That girl from the bar? Sarah? We weren't dating. I told you that too. To keep things normal. But it's you, Keith. It's always been you. Every look, every joke, every time I couldn't sleep because you were 10 feet away, it fucking kills me. The room spun. Sarah. The barista with the septum-piercing he'd mentioned twice. The one I'd teased him about ghosting when she stopped showing up. Cover story. For this. For us? My mouth went dry, words tangling like subway delays. Jeremy, why hide it? We're roommates, yeah, but we're friends. The word tasted like ash. More than that, if I was honest. The flutters when he'd crash on my bed after nightmares, mumbling about his brother enlisting and never calling back. The way I'd catch myself tracing the line of his jaw in the mornings, light slanting through the blinds like a spotlight. Because I'm scared shitless, he burst out, voice cracking. You think it's easy? Coming from where I am, where Dad still sends Bible verses about the path less traveled. Code for don't be queer, kid. And you're out. Proud, got your shit together. What if I fuck it up? What if you laugh? I didn't laugh. I reached for him, palm cupping his neck, thumb brushing stubble that rasped like sandpaper. Jew, I love you? The confession lodged in my throat. Too big, too soon. Instead, I pulled him down, our foreheads touching, breaths mingling in the dim lamp glow. It wasn't a kiss, not yet, but it was a promise, electric and fragile. That night, we talked till dawn, peeling back layers. His first crush on the quarterback who called him bro, while stealing glances in the locker room. My rage at Tyler for bailing when I needed him most. Vulnerability hung between us, a bridge over the chasm we'd both pretended wasn't there. But bridges burn easy in this city. Monday hit like a freight train. Jeremy's shift started at noon. I had interviews lined up, the kind where you smile through gritted teeth and lie about passion projects. He left with a quick hug, lips brushing my temple. Innocent, but loaded. Text me later, he murmured, and I nodded, watching him vanish down the stairwell, cap low over eyes that still held shadows. My day imploded by 3. Coffee with a producer turned sour when he eyed my portfolio and snorted. Edgy, but who's gonna fund queer sob stories in this economy? Back home, scrolling rejection emails, I heard the door. Early. Jeremy stumbled in, face ashen, clutching his phone like a grenade. Keith. He choked, collapsing beside me. It's my brother. Mike. He's dead. The world tilted. Mike, the golden boy from the photo, Marines deployment in some godforsaken desert. IED, they said. Instant. Jeremy's sobs tore through me, raw and animal, as he rocked forward, fists pounding his thighs. I held him, murmuring nonsense about time healing, about being there, but inside, panic clawed. This was grief's ugly maw, and I was in over my head. We flew upstate the next day, cheap red-eye, me footing the bill from my dwindling savings. His family home was a clabbered relic in Schenectady, flags at half-mast on every porch, the air thick with potluck casseroles and condolences whispered like secrets. The funeral was a minefield. His dad, a burly ex-cop with a mustache like a broom bristle, clapped Jeremy on the back too hard, eyes wet but voice gruff. Heard about your situation in the city, son. City's changed you. The pause hung, loaded with judgment. Mom hovered, all floral dresses and forced smiles, pressing lemon bars into my hands while shooting glances that said outsider. Cousins milled, kids in tiny flag tees, the whole Americana tableau of loss laced with something sharper. Disapproval when Jeremy's hand brushed mine under the table, a flinch when I called him babe, in a slip, thinking we were alone. That night, in his childhood room, posters of Metallica peeling at the edges, twin bed creaking under our weight. He broke again. They know, Keith. About us. Dad cornered me after the graveside. Said Mike died for real men. And what was I doing shacking up with? He trailed off, while rising. I pulled him close, our bodies fitting like puzzle pieces worn smooth, whispering, fuck them. We're real. This is real. We didn't sleep, just held on. The hum of cicadas outside a dirge for what he'd lost, and what we might. Back in Brooklyn, the fracture widened. Jeremy withdrew, shifts doubling, sketches abandoned for empty beer cans. I'd find him staring at Mike's dog tags, chain glinting like accusation. He'd hate this, he'd mutter, when I'd try to bridge the gap with a kiss or a shared joint on the fire escape. Hate me. Guilt gnawed him, a beast I couldn't slay. I pushed, too hard, maybe, suggesting therapy, a weekend away, anything to drag him from the pit. You're not my fucking savior. He snapped one night, storming out, door rattling the walls. Days blurred into silence, texts unanswered, the apartment a tomb of takeout wrappers and unspoken barbs. Then the bomb, a knock at midnight, me bleary from insomnia, opening to Sarah, piercing glinting under the hall light, eyes red-rimmed. Is Jeremy here? Tell him I'm sorry. She thrust an envelope, fled down the stairs. Inside, a sonogram. 8 weeks. Jeremy's, from that fake fling he'd confessed was cover, but apparently not entirely. Betrayal hit like a sucker punch. He'd lied again, slept with her for real, to prove something, to his dad, to himself. I confronted him at dawn, envelope trembling in my fist. What the hell, Ja? This your idea of normal? His face crumpled, confession spilling. One drunken night, post-bar fight with his own doubts, her comfort turning physical. I thought it would fix me, he whispered, sliding down the wall. Make me straight, for Mike, for Dad. But it didn't. It just broke everything. Rage boiled, hot and righteous. You used her? Us. I'm done playing therapist to your closet case bullshit. Words I couldn't unsay, slicing deep. He flinched, eyes shattering. I love you, Keith. That's the truth. The rest. It's poison. But love felt like chains then, and I stormed out, pounding pavement till my feet blistered, the city a blur of honks and hurt. Weeks crawled. I crashed on a couch in Queens, scripting feverishly to drown the ache. A short about 2 guys fracturing under family weight, too close to home. Jeremy texted once. I'm getting help. For real. Come back. I deleted it, then undelete, staring at the words like a lifeline I wasn't ready to grab. The climax crashed on a rainy October night, me dragging home for my crap, he scraping the lock like nails on chalkboard. He was there, packing boxes, his neat stacks by the door. Therapy's kicking my ass, he said, voice steady but eyes haunted. Dad disowned me last call, said Mike's rolling in his grave. Pause, thunder rumbling. But I'm done hiding. If you can forgive. Forgive? The word tasted like freedom. I crossed the room, hands framing his face, rain dripping from my hair onto his collar. Not yet. I breathed, honest for once. But I'm willing to try. With you. Out loud. Our kiss was storm-swept, salty with tears, bodies pressing like anchors in the gale. No fireworks, just us, flawed, fierce, finally facing the light. We rebuilt slow, therapy sessions tandem, his sketches blooming with color again. Us, intertwined against cityscapes that didn't dwarf but embraced. Holidays came. Thanksgiving at my mom's, her hugging him fierce, whispering, families who shows up. His folks? Radio silence, but he wrote letters, unread but sent, catharsis in ink. It's not fairy tale. Fights flare, old wounds itching, but we talk them down, hands linked across the divide. Last week, fire escape perch, stars pricking the smog. He turned to me, grin crooked. Asked for a massage once, got a lifetime. Worth it. I laughed, pulling him close. Every knot, every secret. Yeah, Joe. Every damn one. Winter clamped down on Brooklyn like a vice. the kind that turns your breath to frost and your resolve to steel. Jeremy and I navigated the thaw gingerly, like skaters on thin ice over the Gowanus Canal, beautiful from afar, treacherous up close. Mornings now started with his lips on my neck, lazy and lingering, coffee brewing as a soundtrack to mumbled plans. My callback for that queer indie pilot, his portfolio review at the community college. But the ghosts lingered, Mike's tags tucked in a drawer, but never forgotten. Dad's voicemail deletions, a monthly ritual that left Jeremy hollow-eyed and me raging at walls I couldn't punch. Sarah became our first real test. She texted him, me, actually, after he blocked her in a haze of shame, begging for a meet. It's his, she wrote, ultrasound attached like shrapnel. Neutral ground. A coffee shop in Park Slope, hipsters clacking laptops while we sat rigid, steam rising from mugs like unspoken accusations. She was small, fierce, belly just starting to round under her oversized sweater. I didn't plan this, she said, voice steady but fingers twisting a napkin to shreds. But I'm keeping it. And you, deserve to know. Jeremy nodded, throat working. I'll pay what I can. Child support, whatever. Me? I bit my tongue till it bled. The American dream twisted into this. Shotgun fatherhood for a man who'd barely claimed himself. We walked out into sleet, his hand in mine slick with cold. You okay? I asked, voice tight. He stopped under a awning, face upturned to the gray sky. No, but it's mine to own. Like us. That night, tangled in sheets that smelled of him, paint thinner and sandalwood, we talked contingencies, co-parenting apps, custody basics Googled in panic. It humanized him, this reluctant dad-to-be, stripping the boy from the farm to reveal the man willing to bend. But bending has limits. Christmas loomed, a minefield of tinsel and tradition. Mom invited us to Chicago, her voice crackling over the line. Bring that boy of yours, Keith. Tables set for 3. Jeremy hesitated, fork midway to mouth over lo mein. Your folks. They cool. I shrugged, masking the knot in my gut. Mom's a rock. Dad. Who knows? Haven't heard since the divorce finalized. Truth was, my coming out had been a footnote in his exit strategy, but Mom? She'd evolved, pride flags in the window, stories of hospital colleagues swapping ally tips over break room coffee. O'Hare was chaos, families hauling trees in duffels, carols blaring tinny over gates. Jeremy fidgeted beside me, Yankees cap low, like upstate camouflage. Mom enveloped us at baggage claim, hugs fierce and flour-dusted from preemptive baking. Jeremy, look at you, too skinny. Chicago deep dish'll fix that. Dad showed tentative, awkward with a bottle of Malbec and small talk about the Bears' losing streak. Dinner was a tightrope, Grace said with eyes on Jeremy. Questions about the city life, laced with curiosity, not claws. When Dad clinked glasses, to new beginnings, Jeremy's hand found mine under the table, squeeze saying what words couldn't. This is family. But New Year's cracked us open. Back in Brooklyn, snow blanketing the stoops like fresh lies, we hosted a ragtag party. Our buddies from Jeremy's shift, my theater nerd friends from an open mic, laughter flowed, cheap champagne fizzing. But midway, his phone buzzed. Unknown number, Dad's area code. He stepped out to the fire escape, voice rising over the wind, snatches carrying back, that disgrace. Mike's memory. That fag friend of yours. I followed, heart hammering, finding him slumped against the railing, phone shattered on the grating below. He knows about the baby, he spat, breath ragged. Called Sarah's folks, somehow. Said I'm poisoning everything. Rage surged, hot and helpless. I pulled him inside, away from prying eyes, but the damage seeped. Party fizzled early, friends drifted with awkward waves. Alone, we curled on the couch, his head on my chest, sobs muffled in my shirt. Why can't I just be enough? He whispered. I stroked his hair, voice fierce. You are. For me. For this kid. Fuck the rest. But doubt wormed in, a whisper asking if love could outrun blood. Spring thawed the literal ice, but not the chill between us. Sarah's checkups became calendar anchors, ultrasounds showing tiny limbs kicking like accusations. Jeremy stepped up, attending every one, hand on her belly while I waited in vinyl chairs, flipping dog-eared magazines on what to expect. Jealousy flickered, unbidden, her claim on him biological, mine forged in fire. It's not like that, he'd assure, post-appointment beers at our corner dive, neon lucky sign buzzing approval. She's the mom. You're home. Yet misunderstandings festered. One April Fool's. Ironic. That. He came home late, smelling of her vanilla perfume from a planning session. I unloaded. What? Role-playing the nuclear family now. While I'm the side piece. Words venomous, born of fear. He recoiled, eyes flashing. Jesus, Keith, it's a crib assembly. Not a proposal. Slammed door, me alone with regrets and a six-pack that tasted like regret. The real fracture hit Memorial Day weekend, upstate, pull like gravity. Jeremy insisted, one last try. For closure. I balked. Schenectady's shadow still loomed, but went, driving the rental up I-87, radio scanning static between classic rock anthems. The house looked smaller, weathered, American flags limp in humidity. Dad answered, shotgun propped casual by the door, not loaded, but the threat implicit. Heard you're expecting, he grunted, no hello. Inside, Mom fluttered, pie cooling on the sill, but tension crackled like heat lightning. Dinner was interrogation disguised as small talk. So, Keith, Dad drawled, fork spearing ham like a bayonet. You the one turning my boy? Jeremy stiffened. I'm at the gaze level. Nah, sir. Love did that. Messy but true. Silence stretched, broken by Mom's cough. Later, porch swing creaking, Jeremy confronted. Dad, I'm gay. Have a kid on the way. And Keith? He's it. Dad's face purpled, words erupting. Mike died for freedoms you spit on. Parading this. Abomination. The slap echoed. Jeremy's, across his father's cheek, handprint blooming red. I'm your son, not your shame. We fled at dawn, tires spinning gravel, Jeremy white-knuckled on the wheel. It's over, he said, voice dead. No more begging. Back in the city, freedom tasted bittersweet, unshackled, but scarred. Summer simmered, baby bump now undeniable. Sarah and Jeremy navigated co-parenting with apps and coffee meets. I tagged along sometimes, feeling like the uncle in waiting. My pilot gig landed, low budget, but mine, scripting stories of fractured boys finding their way. Jeremy's art bloomed too, gallery show in Bushwick, canvases of bridges half-burned, lovers mid-leap. Opening night, wine flowing. He pulled me aside, eyes shining. This one's us, he said, nodding to a piece. Two figures entwined against a storm-tossed skyline. Kiss stolen in the back room, amid paint-splattered drop cloths. Raw, reclaiming. But betrayal's echo lingered. August heat wave, me sweltering over rewrites. Jeremy at a dad prep class Sarah insisted on. Home late again, this time with her, laughing in the kitchen over onesies. Easy camaraderie that twisted my gut. What's this? I demanded, door banging. Jeremy turned, brow furrowing. Ultrasound appointment ran long. She's scared. Keith, single mom stats are brutal. Sarah fled, mortified. He rounded on me. You're pushing me away. Like I'm choosing. I am choosing, I yelled, voice bouncing off peeling wallpaper. Every day I choose us. But you? Still half in that lie, playing house. Truth bomb. My own fear of losing him to biology's pull, to the straight world script he'd scripted for survival. He packed a bag that night, crashing at a buddy's. Space, he texted, to figure if love's enough. Days blurred into ache, auditions blurring with insomnia, scripts mocking my own plot holes. Then the call. Sarah, panicked. Labor. Early. Get Jeremy. Hospital lights harsh, beeping monitors a cacophony. Jeremy arrived wild-eyed, scrubs handed over. I paced halls, coffee vending sludge and styrofoam. Hours later, he emerged, exhausted, beaming, tiny bundle swaddled in his arms. A boy, he whispered, tears tracking. Naming him Micah. For Mike. I held the kid, fragile weight grounding me, Jeremy's eyes pleading over the bundle. We good? He asked, voice small. I nodded, throat tight. Better than. Dad's now, huh? Laughter bubbled, relief's release. Fall gilded the edges. Micah's cries punctuating nights, Sarah's apartment a block away, us tag-teaming like pros. Therapy evolved to family sessions, unpacking Dad's bigotry as generational poison, not personal failing. Jeremy's letters? One replied, Mom's, tentative olive branch, proud of you, son. Bring the baby sometime. Climax crested Thanksgiving, Chicago Redux. Mom's table groaned under turkey and sides. Dad came solo. Sober, extending a hand to Jeremy. Heard about the boy. Congrats. No more, but enough. A crack in the armor. Micah gurgled in a high chair, gravy on his chin, binding us in chaos. As snow dusted again, fire escape perch, Jeremy leaned into me, Micah dozing inside. Asked for a massage, he murmured, grinned sly. Got a family. I kissed his temple, city humming below. Worth every twist, babe. Love, we learned, isn't linear. It's the knot you untangle together, stronger for the fray. The second winter with Micah hit differently. Less bite, more buffer. At 10 months, he was a tornado of grabs and gurgles, chubby fists claiming Jeremy's finger like a lifeline, his hazel eyes, mirror of his dad's, tracking us with solemn curiosity. Our shoebox evolved, bassinets squeezed beside the bed, bottles sterilizing on the counter amid Jeremy's sketchpads and my dog-eared scripts. Rent hiked again, but the pilot's second season greenlit, residuals trickling like manna. Jeremy's bartending scaled back to weekends. His days split between Micah duty and adjunct classes at Pratt, teaching figure drawing to wide-eyed freshmen who hung on his every stroke. Parenting was a crash course in humility, American style. Midnight Target runs for teething rings, pediatrician waits amid flu shot lines snaking the block, playdates in Prospect Park where Sarah traded war stories over lukewarm churros. She dated casual, a barista named Lena, tattoos blooming like ink confessions, and we cheered from the sidelines, co-parenting a well-oiled machine. Who knew? She'd laugh, handing off a drool-soaked Micah. Blended before it started. Jeremy and I? Solid, but scarred tissue pulls tight in storms. The first real squall brewed over Christmas cards. Mom sent hers early, stocking a family photo. Us three, Micah on Jeremy's lap, tree twinkling behind like holiday endorsement. For the fridge, she captioned, hearts emoji raining. Jeremy stared at it over cereal, spoon dangling. Dad sees this. It'll gut him. I shrugged, milk curdling in my gut. Or thaw him. Baby's universal. But doubt flickered, his upstate roots a tether, yanking when least expected. New Year's, we rang in low-key. Micah's first confetti popper, Sarah and Lena joining for pizza, and Dick Clark reruns. Midnight kiss interrupted by a burp-up volcano, laughter dissolving tension. But January's chill brought frost, a letter forwarded from Schenectady. Mom's script, shaky. Your father. Stroke. Not good. Come if you can. Jeremy folded it once, twice, tucking into his wallet like a grenade pin. We debated hot. Me pushing go, for closure, Sarah neutral boundaries first, his silence a wall. He slapped you. I reminded, voice low as Micah napped. Called us poison. Jeremy's jaw ticked. And buried my brother. Forgiven that. Impasse. He went alone. Amtrak up, me minding the fort with Sarah's backup. Ritter knee was hollow. Mom cried. Dad. Mumbled something about grandkid. No apology. Envelope clutched, a photo, faded, of young Jeremy and Mike, fishing poles akimbo. He gave me this. Said keep it safe. February's Valentine's was bomb. Reservations at that Italian hole-in-the-wall in Carroll Gardens, candle stubs, and Chianti. Babysitter secured. Lena, game for rom-com marathons. We walked hand in swing, slush sucking at boots. Remember our first? He asked, breath fogging. I grinned. Massage turning confessional? How could I forget? Dessert. Tiramisu shared, forks clinking like toasts. Home late. Micah's snores a serenade. We made love slow. Rediscovery in the dark, bodies mapping scars and strengths. Spring bloomed betrayal sequel. Jeremy's gallery show too. Boulder, buyers buzzing. A critic from the Village Voice calling his work raw queer Americana. High on Prosecco, he networked, charming a silver-haired collector who slipped him a card. Mentorship. Upstate retreat, June. Think on it. I toasted, proud, but the hook snagged later. Retreat meant weeks away, Micah with Sarah, me solo in the city grind. It's opportunity, he urged, eyes alight. For us, better life. I nodded, but unease coiled. Upstate, near the Viper's Nest? June scorched, retreat looming. Drop-off day, Jeremy kissed us fierce, Me lingering, Micah waving chubby bye-byes. Text trickled. First critique killed. Miss you. Then radio silence. 3 days. Panic dialed Sarah. He okay? Her shrug voice. Posting artsy pics. Chill. But gut screamed otherwise. 4th day, call. Him. Voice wrecked. Keith. Dad showed. At the retreat. New from mom. Story spilled. Collector's estate. Upstate idol. Dad crashing like a bull in China. Ranting legacies. Mike's ghost invoked as cudgel. Said you're turning me into him. A failure. Jeremy's stand. I'm building, Dad. With love. Ejection followed, but not before Dad's parting shot. That boy's not mine. Test proved it. Wait, what? Jeremy clarified, choked. Babies. Paternity. Sarah's exits his. I paid for the test. Post-stroke guilt trip. World reeled. The lie, his ownership of fatherhood, the co-parenting charade, crumbled. Why hide? I demanded, voice echoing empty apartment. To protect her? Us. His admission. Thought it made me madder. Real dad, straight passing. Stupid. Rage crested. Not at the truth, but the deception's weight. Another layer peeled to blood. Fight erupted. Accusations flying. Always half out. You bail when it's hard. Culminating in his bag repacked, door ajar. Space again, he whispered. Till I fix this poison. Gone. Retreat abandoned. Crashing Sarah's couch. Me? Audition blackout. Scripts blurring with tears. City closing in like judgment. Weeks limped. Sarah mediating. He's wrecked. Keith. Therapy solo now. Micah's first steps? Video call. His grin through screen and knife twist. Dad's stroke? Mom's update. Improving, but silent on the rift. Jeremy resurfaced July 4th. Fireworks booming over the East River. Him at our door. Fireworks of his own. Sketchpad thrust forward. Pages of us. Fractured, but mending. Micah central. I lied to cope, he said, eyes raw. But truth? You're my north. Forgive. Hesitation's chasm. Not blind trust. Earn it. Nod slow. Rebuild started tentative. Date nights with Micah in tow. Park picnics dodging pigeons. Therapy trios unpacking the patriarchy's boot. August heat broke with rain. Us dancing in it on the stoop. Micah splashing puddles. Laughter rinsing residue. Fall's harvest. Gallery sale funded a down payment. Tiny Queens Co-op. 3 bedrooms. Yard patch for Micah's future swings. Move-in chaos. Boxes labeled Jeremy's lies. Joke. Half true. Sarah toasting to fucked up families. Dad's letter arrived post-settle. Scrawl admitting regrets. Photo enclosed. Mike's, smiling. Jeremy framed it beside ours. Bridges tentative. Climax brewed Black Friday. Shopping frenzy mask for confrontation. Mom hosted. Dad invited. His olive branch. Shaky post-rehab. Table tense. Turkey carved. Conversations skirting minds. Micah's babble bridged, but Dad's gaze on Jeremy. Waited. Post-pie. Kitchen clear out. He cornered us. Saw the boy. Looks like you, son. Jeremy stiffened. I braced. He's not mine by blood. But family? Yeah. Dad's exhale, ragged. Mike. He wrote before. Said love you always. Messed up like me. Hand extended. Not slap, but clasp. Sorry don't fix. But try. Tears tracked. Jeremy's, mine mirroring. Mom hugged fierce. Dad awkward patted Micah's back. Not healed, but heading. Winter's end. Central Park skate. Micah wobbling between us. Laughter echoing under bare branches. Jeremy pulled me aside. Skate blade scraping. Massage sparked this circus. Regret. Kiss. Cold lips warming. Hell no. Every act. Love's plot. Spring's renewal felt earned. Petals unfurling like hesitant hands. Micah's second birthday dawned sticky. Balloon strings tangling in the Queen's breeze. Backyard grill smoking with veggie dogs for Sarah's crew and hot links for mine. Jeremy manned the tongs. Apron smeared with mustard. Hollering incoming. As he flipped patties. His laugh booming over kitty chaos. I chased Micah's toddle. Grass stains blooming on knees. Heart full to bursting. This patchwork life. Sewn from rips and reinforcements. Career crests aligned. My series picked up buzz, a Sundance nod for the pilot episode's raw take on hidden loves. Jeremy's adjunct gig bloomed into tenure track whispers, his solo show touring, Midwest stops, upstate skirting, but not invading. Dad's visits started sporadic. Sunday drives, Micah on his lap pointing at billboards, gruff stories of Mike's boyhood pranks thawing the frost. He'd like this one, he'd mutter, ruffling dark curls. No grand gestures, just presence, the quiet heroism of showing up, American grit and flannel. But depth demands shadows. Summer solstice, longest day, unearthed mine. Call back for a feature. LA relocation, 6 months minimum. Director's pitch. Your voice, Keith. Queer heart in Hollywood's machine. Home over ribs, I broached, gig of a lifetime. But, us. Jeremy's fork paused, eyes on plate. Go. We hold. Confidence masked fracture. Nights after, he sketched furiously. Lone figures on horizons. Abandonment etched in charcoal. Decision loomed, gut churning. Therapy unearthed it. My flight pattern, Dad's ghosting redux. Fear of roots after Tyler's bail. You're not him, Jeremy affirmed, hands framing my face in our sun-dappled kitchen. But if you stay caged. Nod to the wild. I went. August exodus, sublet in Silver Lake, scripts stacking like accusations. Texts bridged. Micah said dada twice today. Miss your burnt toast. Calls laced with ache, his voice tinny over miles. Proud, babe. Break M. Distance distilled. LA's sprawl versus NYC squeeze. Palm trees mocking my isolation. Set life dazzled. Table reads electric. Co-stars swapping coming out war stories over kale smoothies. But nights? Empty king beds. Jeremy's photo screensaver a talisman. Betrayal specter revisited. A hookup invite from a grip, easy ego stroke post-rap party. I ghosted it, dialing home instead. Love you. Hard. His laugh. Warm ditto. Micah's plotting escape with the cat next door. Climax crested October. Emmy buzz email, but hurricane back east. Queens flooded. Our co-op basement a swamp. Jeremy's SOS. Evac safe. But Dad. Stroke again. Bad. Red eye booked. Landing to chaos. Sandbags stacked. National Guard rumbling by like wartime. Hospital sterile. Mom pacing. Sarah corralling Micah in the waiting room with coloring books. Jeremy met me in the hall. Wrecked. Clot. Doc say touch and go. Vigil blurred. Beeps syncing with my pulse. Dad's hand limp in Jeremy's grasp. Stories swapped. Mike's first bike crash. Dad's cop days dodging bullets in the 80s. Dawn broke. Vitals stabilizing. Dad woke groggy. Eyes finding mine. City boy. Heard you flew. Gruff nod. Family does. No more. But the weight lifted. A chapter closed, not erased. Backyard rebuild. FEMA checks and neighbor barbecues. Hammering drywall while Micah helped with a plastic hammer. LA offer extended. Remote option. Pilot to series. I took it. Hybrid heart. Coast connected. Home base Queens. Jeremy's grin at airport pickup. Told you. North Star. Fall deep in bonds. Thanksgiving redux. Dad at table. Cane propped. Carving tentative. Toast clinked. To survivors. Micah echoing vibe. With applesauce smeared cheer. Sarah's engagement to Lena announced over pie. Rings glinting like promises kept. Winter's hush brought reflection. Fire escape. Now with a space heater humming. Jeremy and I bundled. Micah's breath fogging the window inside. 2 years since the massage, he mused, head on my shoulder. Confession changed everything. I turned, lips brushing his temple. Broke us open. For this. But humanism whispers no easy bows. Dad's decline accelerated. Dementia creeping. Stories looping like scratched records. Jeremy shouldered it. Visits weekly. Me tagging for the drives up. 87. Autumn leaves a fiery send-off. One February afternoon. Nursing home quiet. Dad gripped Jeremy's hand. Proud son. Of you. The boy. Him. Eyes on me. Clear for once. Jeremy wept thin, shoulders shaking. I held them both, circle unbroken. Spring circle, Micah's preschool enrollment, tiny backpack slung proud. Gallery opening for Jeremy, LA tie-in, West Coast buyers mingling with Brooklyn faithful. My series finale aired, tears trending, inbox flooded with relatable DMs from kids hiding in closets nationwide. Late night rap. Us on the rooftop, city sprawl a constellation below, Micah asleep downstairs. You ever think, Jeremy started, wine glass dangling, we'd end up here? From one lie to this truth. I pulled him close, skyline framing us like a frame. Every day? And yeah, worth the rage, the riffs. Made us real. Love, in the end, isn't conquest. It's cultivation, weeding doubts, watering wounds till they bloom. Ours, a garden wild, thorns and all, but thriving under the relentless American sun, fierce, flawed, forever.